Hey boys, welcome back to another Cricket 19 discussion video. Like I said in that previous, the AI discussion, just talking about some things I'd like to be improved and some ideas, this and that. I did discuss the fielding a little bit, and I was going to talk a bit more in detail about that and the wicket keeping as a whole in this video. I thought we'll split it up. Don't want to bore you guys with too much talking in one video, but yeah, so the fielding and probably more, I mean, they're both pretty prominent. The wicket keeping, I mean, we'll talk about the wicket keeping first because it's like one separate entity. And it does look like, and did they talk about it? I'm not too sure, but we saw in the screenshot, the keeper, he looked a lot more realistic. Like after the shot was played, he was, you know, crouched nicely, like he wasn't going in front of the stumps. Like it looked a lot better, basically. It looked a lot smoother, it looked a lot more realistic. Obviously, that's just a still screenshot. I mean, you could take screenshots of any game and make it look good, but you've got to see it in action to really sort of find out what happens to the keeper, because yeah, the way it is now, like, let's talk about a few of the issues, I guess, with the keeping as it is. So a couple of things. The stumpings. So the stumpings, in my opinion, they're not good. Like, if you're quick enough, you can come down the pitch and miss the ball and the keeper will not stump you. Like, he takes forever to get the bails off. Now, it's funny because I get stumped all the time, but it's more so because I'm so, like, usually when I come down the crease, I miss it. I usually just forget about even trying to get back because I'm like, I'm gone. Like, there's no way a batter could get back. But the way the game is and how slow the keeper is to take the bails off, like, you can get back in your crease sometimes, and like that in itself is like a bit of an issue. Like, if you get beaten coming down the pitch, unless the keeper drops the ball, like, you're not going to get back in the crease. So that's one thing. The keeper, the animation for like taking the bails off is, you know, this big wind up. Sometimes it just takes like an eternity. So I mean, that's one thing. The biggest one, probably should have talked about this first, but the biggest one is just the superhuman ability of the keepers. So and you know, in the screenshot we saw, we don't know if it's fixed. Like, this could still be an issue. I really doubt it. Like, I feel like they would have done a lot of work trying to fix this because it is a huge issue and it's so annoying. It can sometimes work out in your favor. Like, I've had a few where I'm bowling spin and they take some ridiculous catches and it feels great. But I mean, the classic example, they bowl on your pads, you play a leg glance, you hit it pretty fine, but it comes off the middle of your bat and the keeper just gets across and takes the grab, no problems, and that's all she wrote. I mean, sometimes it's really fine, and you can sometimes argue that, okay, you might have got a glove on it, but there's no freaking chance you would have caught it. But other times, like, you hit it pretty square, not like square leg region, but like, it's not that fine. Like, it's going to like fine leg and they freaking take it. So that's the biggest issue with the keepers, because it makes like a genuine leg glance like a risky shot to play, which is just nonsense. It's crazy. So, you know, that's the biggest thing, and I think they'll fix it, but I guess, you know, time will tell in that situation. Other things, just the animations for the keeper in other cricket games. We'll talk more thoroughly about Ashes cricket because it's the most recent and it's the one that's going to be improved upon. The animations are like really bad. Like, the keeper animations are shocking. Like, the catches they take just don't look realistic. Just overall, probably the keeping animations are the worst part of the game. That and like the fielding, and we'll talk about the fielding in a bit, but just the way they catch it, like, generally keeper, you know, the little slide across, you know, ball goes into the gloves and nice soft hands brings the gloves past the body just to dull the impact, and just a nice smooth action, right? That's not that's not how it happens. It's very janky. It just doesn't look good at all. And there's no real, like, you see sometimes keepers dive. Like, that isn't in Ashes cricket. They don't dive like full length and take one-handed grabs, or they don't even really attempt it if the ball's like a bit away from them and stuff like that. Yeah, just overall, like, the animations for the catching and stuff are really bad. And also, they don't take them if they're like above their head. Like, I've had plenty of times where the ball has gone not far above their head, but it feels like the game just doesn't have it animated that they can catch it like above their face. Like, they don't put the gloves up to take grabs. And that's another one. Like, keepers jump up for a grab. Like, they don't always get it, obviously, but they do jump. But the way it is, like, they literally just stand there in like a crouched position, and it goes like a foot above their head. It almost freaking falcons them. So that's another big one. And then just the other one is when they retrieve a ball from like a throw. You know, it's not a huge deal in the game as it is. It just doesn't look good as it is. Like, it doesn't look realistic. It doesn't look fluid. I mean, the way it is in real life, you know, the keeper obviously runs onto the ball, takes a catch, you know, throws it to someone else. The way it is now, it's just so janky. Like, that's the main thing about it. It just doesn't look fluid. And it does, you know, I'm not usually one for like graphics and stuff, but I think animations in a game really can detract from the overall look of it. Like, you know, when the ball comes in from the rope, and just like other throws of the keeper, it's just not fluid, and it doesn't feel fluid either. It's just not a very good way of doing it. But, you know, I think it's going to be a big one that they've looked at, and I am keen to see how the keepers sort of look, because it's a tough one as well. Like, the other point I was going to bring up is the keepers dropping catches, because they don't actually drop catches in this game unless they do sometimes, and that's when like there's it's usually off like a cut shot that goes really fine. Like, it basically comes off the middle of the bat straight into the keeper's gloves, but they drop it, which is fair enough because they shouldn't even be there anyway. But they sometimes drop ones like that, but just genuine like edges, they don't actually drop those. They never do. And I'm sort of on the mindset of, or on the fence as well. Like, I don't know if I'd want, I'm probably happy with like just having it in the game that they don't drop like just faint edges, because I can just feel as a bowler, playing my career mode as a bowler, bowling a 20-30 over slog in a test match, you finally get the edge and the keeper puts it down, dude. That's not an enjoyable experience. Obviously, it's realistic that a keeper can drop a edge, but I don't know. I'm sort of on the mindset that just have it that they don't drop faint edges. So the way it is now with them not dropping them, I think is actually a good thing. It would just lead to a lot of frustration. It would lead to a lot of frustration, in my opinion. Occasionally, you might be saved when you're batting, but if you're a bowler, that's a killer, dude. And I just feel like for a video game, it doesn't have to be exactly 100% realistic, because, you know, because 99.9% of the time the keeper in real life doesn't drop a faint edge anyway. Like, it's very rare. So yeah, that's the thing with the keepers. Talking about the fielders, we went off for a bit there, but the fielding, it's not good. I talked about it before with the last video about the catches, and that's a big one. The fielders just not attacking the ball. So there's a couple of things. There's a couple of issues with that. One is when you're bowling. I talked about this before in the last video. When you're bowling, they hit like a one you would think should be a catch, but they don't attack it, and they just let it bounce like a meter in front of them. Very frustrating, and it only seems to happen when you're bowling. So just an absolute pain in the ass, really. And then the other one is just way too easy to get quick singles and twos. Like you can get, you can just do like a shot into a gap on the rope and get twos every single day. Occasionally they throw direct hits, and I'll talk about the throwing as well in a second, but they're just so slow to the ball, and their throws are usually just so weak. Like most fielders, like most outfielders in international cricket, they can rip it in. Like if you take off for a run with the ball in the fielder's hand, there is a very good chance that you're going to get run out from like a good fielder anyway. If they throw a good throw anyway, because they can rip it in, especially fast bowlers on the rope. They can power the ball in, but the way it is in cricket games, like it's just a slow throw. It's just such a custard arm, bloody weak ass throw. So yeah, and just not attacking the ball. Like that's the problem with on the rope, but then also in close. Like I wish there was like animations for them being able to like underarm the ball. You know, it's so it looks so bad every time. Like you're a bowler, right, and you pick up the ball to throw. It's so awkward. Like I'm a left hand, like in my spin bowling career mode, I'm a left hander, and the pick up and throw, the animation looks like someone throwing with their wrong hand. It looks so awkward. I'm just like, what on earth? What happened? Surely you can get someone to come in and motion capture some throwing, right? It's so awkward the way they pick it up and they throw it, and it's just very awkward and very cumbersome. And yeah, you can't really throw anyone out. So I'd love like the ability to underarm throw it, and like the AI to underarm throw, like a really quick way of getting it in. Obviously not as powerful, but it's quicker to release. And also the ability to like dive in the field to make a stop. Like that's not a thing either. I guess it is. Yeah, that's a bit of a lie, because they can dive. It happens pretty rarely though. Like the fielders, it's just so, like that's the thing with the fielding. It's very inconsistent. Like sometimes, you know, the ball will be hit like a meter to the side and they'll do their little rolling animation, and they might dive and field it. The other time, the fielder will just literally stand there and let it go straight past him. So, I mean, the consistency is an issue. And I guess also the stats of fielders. Like, I just don't feel like stats make any difference. Like, fielders don't drop catches. They occasionally drop catches, but I feel like the stats don't matter in that regard. The only time they matter is like in club cricket when you first start out. Like the players' fielding stats are so bad that occasionally they do drop catches more than, you know, higher up, which makes sense. But I feel like when you get to the higher level, like someone who's a really good fielder compared to someone who's okay, there's literally no difference. Like they field the exact same. So the fielding stats are basically pointless. And also like the fielding stats are pointless in the fact that the throws always come in either right next to the stumps or they're direct hits. Like the throws are never wide, or they're never like over the top of the keeper, or they never like bounce them in short and get a bad bounce or anything like that. The throws are always right next to the stumps or they're direct hits, which, you know, again, it's just annoying, really, and it's not realistic, and it does make fielding stats useless. So what's the point of like a throw accuracy or anything like that? Like the ball's always going to go to the stumps. It just sometimes it's direct, sometimes it's not. So yeah, the fielding needs a huge improvement. Again, it is a big one to improve, because I think it's probably the most lacking area of the gameplay for cricket. Well, it is easily the most lacking area. Like it's just, which I think is, and again, like I'll preface this by saying I think it's much better that they focus their time and efforts on the bowling and the batting, right, and like career mode and stuff. But you know, the fielding is a factor, and the fielding, you see the fielding all the time, and if you're the bowler, you have fielders fielding for you, and if you're the batter, same thing. So it is a big component, and if it's as bad as it has been, like it's going to detract a lot, in my opinion, from the game. Like everything else could look really slick. They could add all these like new bowling animations. The batting animations could be really nice. They can improve the cut shot for once. But then if the fielding is like just awful, like they take jumping catches when they don't need to, when they it's just, that's another, like the catches as well, like they're just so, yeah, I don't know what it is about the fielding. Like it just looks so unrealistic and so sort of robotic, I guess is the best word. Like it's very janky, it's very robotic. Like the way they take catches, like they'll jump up in the air for no reason. They'll like take it like behind there. It's just so weird. Like it's just not smooth at all. Like, you know, you don't see them taking above their head. Their hands like soften. Like I was talking about with the keeping, like they don't bring their hands back when the ball touches them to like soften the blow, and like they don't take it like down low, like hands pointing to or fingers pointing downwards. It's just, yeah, it's just clunky, whatever. Yeah, that's basically that in a nutshell. I could probably talk about so many more little aspects about the fielding, but I think you guys get the gist. And again, it's something that everyone knows about, but if you have any sort of other things you would like specifically fixed with the fielding and the keeping, again, post in the comments. I'm keen to hear what you guys say, because obviously when I make these videos, I do them ad lib. I do generally have an idea of what I'm going to say, but I don't have things written down, so there's usually things I forget to talk about. But I think I covered most things. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Any ideas, any other criticisms about the fielding. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, like I said last video, hopefully we get some info pretty soon. And I'll see you guys in the next one.